12 beefs, different eras, different reasons.
Parties and pay, nobody's ever gonna rock me in this side foul. So all I wanna say.
And in every single one of them, the diss tracks were only the surface. You know the names, you know the songs. You've probably got a strong opinion on who won, but do you know what was really happening in the background? The phone call that started it. The contract that made it worse. The moment it almost got peaceful and then didn't. That's what we're getting into today. Not just who threw the first punch. The real story behind every single one of these beefs, from the first one hip-hop ever had, all the way to the most culturally total rap war in a generation. Stay with me, because some of these are going to hit completely different once you know what actually went down. Starting at number 12. Number 12, the Roxanne Wars, UTFO versus Roxanne Shante, 1984 to 1985. Before Tupac, before Jay-Z and Nas, before any of the beefs you're about to hear, there was one record that accidentally invented the whole concept of rap beef. And it started with a group called UTFO disrespecting a woman who didn't exist. 1984, UTFO drops Roxanne, Roxanne. They're rapping about a woman who won't give them the time of day, nothing groundbreaking, but then they cancel a show. And the DJ who was supposed to introduce them is connected to a 14-year-old girl from the Queensbridge Projects in Queens, New York. Her name is Lolita Shante Gooden. She records a response track, one take, Roxanne's Revenge. And everybody knows I will win the contest, and after that, came the educated rap. At 14 years old, the record hits, and here's where it gets wild. Over the next year, over 100 answer records drop. Artists from all over New York coming off on UTFO, defending Roxanne, attacking Roxanne, introducing new Roxannes. The Dr. Roxanne, the real Roxanne. The Roxanne Wars has 100 response tracks inside of 12 months. Shante, 14 years old, from the project started the template for every single diss cycle that came after. This dude with the name of a hat, I didn't even walk away, I didn't give him no rap, but then he got the public call out, the counter response, the back and forth that now plays out on Twitter and SoundCloud in real time. She invented the model in one take before she had a driver's license. The culture didn't even have a name for what she created, but every rapper you're about to hear learned from it. That's why her fingerprints are on every beef in this countdown. Number 11, LL Cool J versus Kool Moe Dee, 1987 to 1990. Now, brothers are riding me like a pole. Before they ever traded a single word on a record, Kool Moe Dee made his opening statement with album artwork. And if you were following hip-hop in 1987, you already knew exactly what a red Kangol hat crushed under a Jeep tire meant. Rappers in art, and I'm like Picasso. Kool Moe Dee came up with the Treacherous 3, old school royalty. He helped build hip-hop in its earliest form, battling in parks and clubs before there were deals to fight over. It's how you like me now. Then this kid, LL Cool J, rolls in with radio and the whole new swagger, the chains, the attitude, the chart positions. And Moe Dee watches him get celebrated like he invented the game. So Moe Dee does what any OG would do. No words necessary, just the cover art. LL's signature Kangol, a Jeep tire, you know what it means. Then How You Like Me Now drops. Without ever naming LL directly, Moe Dee rap. You took my style, I'm taking it back. Of course, why else would you try so hard to paint a picture and try to get yourself in my... The album goes platinum. Moe Dee becomes the first hip-hop artist to ever perform at the Grammy Awards. And if you had that album in your Walkman in '87, you remember exactly where you stood when that beef went public. So far in you had enough. I know you're overstuffed, and if I keep going, you... LL fires back, Jack the Ripper. Then Mama Said Knock You Out, where he flips Moe Dee's on hook in the opening bars. Here's what I want you to hold on to about this one, though. This beef didn't destroy either of them.
But tonight at the Apollo, get off this stage. I'm enraged, just like
It made both of them sharper. They were competing for the crown, not trying to take each other out. That model almost never gets repeated again. Number 10, Ice Cube versus N.W.A. 1989 to 1991. He wrote most of the album. He helped build the group. And when he found out what he was actually being paid for all of it, they called him a traitor for leaving. December 1989, Ice Cube walks away from N.W.A. He'd written most of Straight Outta Compton, one of the most important hip-hop albums ever recorded. And when his lawyers looked at the contracts, the signing bonus being offered was $75,000. For the primary songwriter of a record that would go triple platinum and define an entire era, $75,000. Manager Jerry Heller had structured deals that kept the money flowing to Ruthless Records and kept Cube on the outside of the real numbers. Cube leaves, gets his own deal, drops America's Most Wanted and N.W. Encouraged by Heller, starts dissing him on their own tracks. 100 Miles and Running, Real Niggas Don't Die, painting him as the one who abandoned his brothers. Classic Divide and Conquer. But here's the thing about Cube. He didn't just come back with a diss track. He came back with a dissertation. No Vaseline from Death Certificate in 1991. He takes apart every single member. Dre, Easy, Ren, Yella. Names Jerry Heller specifically. The most complete, most personal diss track hip-hop had seen up to that point. The lawsuit eventually settled. Royalties got corrected. And years later, they walked onto the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame stage together, Ice Cube, Dr. Dre, MC Ren, DJ Yella, because blood is thicker than a management contract. But the beef left something behind for the culture. 3 words nobody had said that plainly before. Know your worth. Read your contract. That's still the lesson. Number 9, Common versus Ice Cube, 1994 to 1998. This is the one where a conscious rapper from Chicago almost went to war with the most dangerous crew in hip-hop history. And the only reason it stayed on wax is because Minister Farrakhan personally stepped in. She said that the pro-black was going out of style. She said Afrocentricity was up. 1994, Common drops I Used to Love Her, one of the most beautiful records of the decade. He uses a woman as a metaphor for hip-hop's decline since gangster rap took over. Now she's a gangster rolling with gangster bitches. One of gangster rap's founding fathers hears this and takes it as a direct shot at everything he built. Cube goes on BET's Rap City with Mac 10 and W.C. standing beside him. Takes public shots at Common by name. And here's what I keep coming back to. If your response to a metaphor about hip-hop is to call out one specific rapper, you just told the world you know the metaphor was about you. Common is from the south side of Chicago. People forget that. He's not some backpack rapper who runs from confrontation. His regular producer, No.I.D., didn't want the smoke, didn't want to get pulled into a beef with the West Coast. So Common goes out and gets Pete Rock to produce the response. That tells you everything about how serious he was. The Bitch in You drops in 1996. Just Sex Cube, Mac 10, and WC simultaneously. A bitch nigga with an attitude named Cube. You ain't made nothing dope since America's Most. Some people say this set the standard for diss records before Ether came along. And honestly, I think they're right about that. They had a physical confrontation in Atlanta in 1995. It was heading somewhere nobody wanted it to go. Minister Farrakhan brings them both to the Nation of Islam headquarters in Chicago in 1998. They sit down, they talk it through. 2 years later, they're co-starring in Barbershop together.
out a chair for her, turn on the F for her, and just cool out.
Number 8, Lil Kim versus Foxy Brown, 1996 to 2000. They went to the same high school. They were from the same part of Brooklyn, and their debut albums dropped 1 week apart. The media was going to make this a war whether they wanted it to be or not. 1996, Lil Kim releases Hardcore. Foxy Brown releases Il Na Na, 7 days between them. Biggie's camp on one side, Jay-Z's camp on the other. Similar styles, similar images, competing for the same lane in an era when hip-hop barely made room for one female MC at the top, let alone two. The Source puts both of them on the same cover in February 1997. At that point, they're still showing each other respect, at least publicly. But here's the truth about how this beef escalated. A lot of it wasn't about the music at first. It was about the male camp surrounding them. Rap crews drawing battle lines and two women getting caught in the crossfire of loyalties they didn't create. That's a specific kind of situation. And if you've ever had a friendship get turned into a rivalry by the people around you rather than your own choices, you understand exactly what I mean. Subliminal shots start appearing in songs, then direct shots. Then, and this is where it leaves the realm of music entirely. In 2001, there's a shooting outside Hot 97 in Manhattan. Kim's associate fires at Foxy's associate. Real shots in the middle of New York City. Over a rap beef that started with two women from Brooklyn being compared by a magazine. Kim later served time in prison for perjury related to a separate incident. And the irony is hard to look past. The culture she helped create wasn't protecting her the way it protected the men in the same rooms. 20 plus years this ran. The industry couldn't handle two. Number 7, 50 Cent and Eminem versus Ja Rule Murder Inc., 2000 to 2004. It starts with a chain robbery in Queens. It ends with federal agents raiding a record label. Ja Rule and 50 Cent, both from Queens, both claiming different versions of the same story. The details are disputed, but 50 Cent's camp claims associates robbed Ja Rule of his chain. Physical altercations follow. Real street beef between two men from the same borough. By 2002, Eminem signs 50 to Shady Records. Aftermath picks him up alongside Shady. Murder Inc. Ja Rule's label, run by Arv Gotti, tells him, pull this back or else. M doesn't pull back. Up to that point, Eminem was watching this from a distance. A little bit of noise, not his war to fight. Then Ja Rule drops loose change, and at the end of the track, he puts Eminem's then 7-year-old daughter Haley in the lyrics. What she might grow up to become, I'm not repeating the line. But if you know hip-hop from that era, you know that's the line that ended things. The second Haley's name is in a diss track. The Distance disappears. Do Re Mi, Haley's Revenge drops. Then the Tupac Hail Mary remix 50 Cent, Eminem, Busta Rhymes. Then Go to Sleep from the Cradle to the Grave soundtrack. M was calculating, precise, relentless. He didn't just attack Ja Rule's image. He went after the whole myth. And here's the part that nobody was expecting. In 2003, federal agents raid Murder Inc. Records as part of a money laundering investigation connected to drug trafficking. The label collapses. Irv Gotti faces trial. The whole infrastructure crumbles. The rap beef and the federal investigation run on parallel tracks, and some people still argue about which one did more damage. Some people say Ja Rule never really got a fair shot after all of this. I'll let you decide which side of that you're on. Ja went from headlining arenas to being a cautionary tale. Some things aren't recoverable. That's the reality. Number 6. Jay-Z versus Cameron, 2002-2006. This was the beef where someone figured out the best way to beat Jay-Z was to refuse to play Jay-Z's game. And Cameron found that out almost by accident. 2002, the diplomats are rising. Dipset is the hottest movement in New York rap. Cameron, the fur coats, the pink Range Rover, the whole aesthetic is doing something Jay-Z cannot mathematically do at this point in his career. He's making Jay-Z look corporate. Oh boy goes to the streets hard. Shots get fired between camps. But here's where it gets interesting. Jay-Z wins beefs through precision, through calculated legacy positioning. He destroys careers with surgical accuracy. Cameron doesn't operate inside any structure that Jay can target. He's chaos, slippery. Dipset loyalty runs block by block. There's nothing to aim at cleanly. So Cam takes a different approach. In 2006, he goes on 60 Minutes, national television, and says if he knew a serial killer living next door to him, he wouldn't cooperate with police because that's snitching. This is not random. It's calculated. He's positioning Jay-Z's corporate crossover, his business relationships, his mainstream acceptance as a betrayal of street values, and it polarizes the culture in a way nobody anticipated. Suddenly, Jay-Z isn't just fighting a rapper, he's fighting a cultural argument, and you can't drop a diss track that defeats an ideology. Cameron never won the sales battle, never had the hits. But he won the cultural argument for a very specific moment in time. And what's underappreciated about this beef is what it exposed: the tension between commercial hip-hop success and street credibility. That question existed before Cam, but he made it impossible for anyone in the culture to look away from it. Number 5, Canibus versus LL Cool J, 1998. This is the one where a rapper with more lyrical talent than almost anyone of his generation tried the wrong move in the wrong room and never fully recovered from it. December 1997, Canibus is being called one of the most gifted MCs to come out of that era. People in the culture know it, critics feel it. He gets on the extended cut of LL Cool J's 4-3-2-1 alongside Method Man, Redman, and DMX. And in his original verse, Canibus includes a line about LL's famous mic tattoo. L, is that a mic on your arm? Let me borrow that. LL takes offense, tells Canibus to change his lines before the record drops. That's why I laugh when I hear that whack verse. That was the worst rhyme I ever heard in my life. Canibus changes them, but LL keeps his own response verse in the final cut intact. Then Canibus's original verse leaks. Now the whole world knows what was in there. LL even offered to make a record together and squash it. Canibus didn't take that exit. He went to Wyclef Jean for a beat, got Mike Tyson to open the track, and dropped second round KO. The whole record is a boxing metaphor aimed directly at LL. Make you somersault, shock you with a couple 100,000 ball thunderbolts before you. Then LL drops The Ripper Strikes Back, and this isn't just a response, it's a dismantling. LL reminds the culture that he's been winning rap battles since 1984, since Canibus was 11 years old. He even thanks Canibus in the liner notes of his next album for the inspiration. Canibus never gets that momentum back. And here's what I keep coming back to. He arguably had the pen to compete with anyone in hip-hop at that moment. What he didn't have was the judgment to know exactly who he was stepping to. Talent gets you in the room. Wisdom keeps you standing.
might got more cash than me, but you ain't got the skills to eat it like me.
Number 4, The Lox vs. Puff Daddy, Bad Boy Records, 1999. 3 rappers from Yonkers, some of the most raw, street-rooted lyrical talent in New York City in the late 90s, and they spent some of the best years of their careers being forced to rap over music their souls had nothing to do with. The Lox, Jadakiss, Styles P, Chic Louch signed to Bad Boy Records in the mid-90s. Mary J. passes their demo to Puffy. Anybody who heard them rap knew what they were capable of.
This is a beat that I can freak and just drop the rails. Bless a nigga with the ill.
But Bad Boy under Puff Daddy had a formula: polished production, crossover appeal, records built for radio, and the Lox needed to make music that sounded like where they came from. Those two things were not compatible. The result is records that don't sound like either party at their best. The lowest point, If You Think I'm Jiggy. 3 of the most street-credible lyricists in New York on a track built to sound like they're chasing something they were never chasing. The Lox were disgusted by it. Everyone around them felt it, but the contract said otherwise. Then in 1999, something unusual happened. Fans start showing up outside Bad Boy's offices, holding signs, T-shirts, Free the Lox. A full public campaign, radio appearances, television, coast to coast, demanding Puff Daddy release 3 artists who clearly didn't belong in his system. It gets loud enough that it becomes impossible to ignore. Rough Riders eventually buys them out. The Lox signed to Rough Riders, Interscope. We Are the Streets drops in January 2000. Put that album next to their Bad Boy output. You can hear the difference inside the first minute. That's what creative suppression sounds like on the way out, and what freedom sounds like on the way in. The label didn't beat them with the diss track. It beat them with the contract.
Step out the horse, wanna crowd around it. You can see me on Optimum TV. On your back.
And if you've ever watched someone dim themselves down just to survive inside a system that was never built for them, you know what the Lox situation was. Number 3, 50 Cent versus The Game, 2005. This is the beef where 2 men signed to the same label, mentored by the same producer, repping the same coast, turned on each other publicly, and proved that the most dangerous beef is almost never the one that comes from outside your circle. January 2005, The Game releases the documentary, one of the biggest debut albums of the era. Produced largely by Dr. Dre and Kanye West, it drops with the full G-Unit stamp. Coming up, I was confused. My mama kissing a girl. Confusion occurs coming up in the cold. Game has the tattoos, the chain, the cosign. 50 Cent just had the biggest year any rapper had seen in recent memory with Get Rich or Die Trying. From the outside, this looks like the most powerful alignment in hip-hop. Then February 21st, 2005, 50 Cent goes on live radio and announces that the Game is no longer a member of G-Unit. Game's crew arrives at Hot 97 while G-Unit is still in the building. They can't get in. One of Game's associates is shot outside the station. 50 and his crew exit through the back. And Game calls into the radio station in real time while the shooting is still being reported outside the building from his phone. They broker a temporary truce at a charity event in Harlem in March. It doesn't hold. Game launches the Juno campaign at Summer Jam and drops 300 bars and running. Over 14 minutes of diss bars going at every member of G-Unit. Multiple records fly from both sides. Dr. Dre is caught managing both of his flagship artists while watching the most profitable camp in hip-hop collapse from the inside. G-Unit never returns to that commercial peak. The documentary remains the ceiling of Game's mainstream run. And the game would later say he wanted this beef to last until somebody died. That's not competition, that's something else. The biggest threat to what you built usually isn't coming from outside. It's already in the same camp, knows the same plans, and decided the split wasn't fair. Your vulnerabilities is standing right beside you. Number 2, Drake versus Kendrick Lamar, 2024. No rap beef in a generation has been more culturally total than this one. It ran through 2024. It consumed the internet. It produced one of the best diss tracks ever recorded, and it ended on the field at the Super Bowl. March 22nd, 2024. Kendrick drops a verse on Future, and Metro Boomin's Like That takes direct aim at Drake and J. Cole. Dismisses the Big Three framing of hip-hop's current era entirely. Puts himself in a category of his own. The culture immediately starts taking sides. What follows is something we genuinely have never seen before. Over roughly 2 weeks in April and May 2024, 6 diss tracks are exchanged between 2 of the biggest names in music. Drake fires push-ups and tailor-made freestyle. Kendrick counters with Euphoria, a 6-minute surgical takedown of Drake's parenting, rap ability, his identity, his cultural positioning. Then 616 in LA. Then Meet the Grahams, addressed directly to Drake's son, alleging Drake has a second hidden child. Then the day after that, Not Like Us. Not Like Us is a different kind of weapon. Kendrick doesn't just make a battle record, he makes a party record. A block party anthem, something engineered to be chanted at cookouts, played at concerts, inescapable. Calls Drake a predator. It lists his celebrity associates. It names his Toronto neighborhood. Drake fires Family Matters and The Heart Part 6 the same night. But the cultural narrative is already written. Kendrick performs Not Like Us 5 times at a free concert in Compton. Then at the Juneteenth Pop-Out in June 2024 with new lyrics. Then at the 67th Annual Grammy Awards in February 2025, where the song wins 5 Grammys, including Record of the Year and Song of the Year. The first diss track in history to win Record of the Year. Then at the 2025 Super Bowl halftime show in front of over 100 million viewers. Drake filed a defamation lawsuit against Universal Music Group over the song's release. Number 1, Dr. Dre vs. Suge Knight, Death Row Records, 1996. He co-founded the most powerful hip-hop label in the world. His music defined the era, and then he had to walk away from all of it. The cars, the money, the royalties, the clout, with nothing, just to stay safe. 1991, Dr. Dre and Suge Knight co-found Death Row Records. In 5 years, the label produces The Chronic, Doggy Style, All Eyes on Me, 3 of the most important albums in hip-hop history. Death Row isn't just a label. It's the entire center of gravity for the West Coast sound, and Dre is the engine of all of it. But inside that operation, a very different story is playing out. Suge Knight runs Death Row through fear. Associates give accounts of vehicles being vandalized, property damaged near people who challenged Knight's authority. Michelle, Dre's former fiance and the mother of his son, later alleged the Suge had a car set on fire as an intimidation tactic. By early 1996, Dre makes his decision. He wants out. Here's what people don't fully appreciate. He walks away from everything. The California Love single, which Dre had originally planned as the launch record for his new label. Suge had already given to Tupac. It became Death Row's biggest commercial moment. Dre starts Aftermath Entertainment with Jimmy Iovine at Interscope and almost nothing else. The first Aftermath compilation barely registers. The industry is writing him off. Then Tupac, recorded before his death, released posthumously, starts dissing Dre on the Don Killuminati, tosses it up against all odds. Dre never responds, not one line. The disses drop 2 weeks after Tupac is killed. Dre gives Tupac a full tribute at the Up in Smoke tour 4 years later and never once addresses the shot.
drink on.
Then 1999 arrives. Aftermath signs Eminem. 2001 drops. Forgot About Dre, with a then unknown Eminem, is the answer to everyone who said Dre was finished. Suge Knight is behind bars. Death Row collapses. Snoop eventually follows Dre out, and Aftermath goes on to become arguably the most consequential rap label of the next 2 decades. Some people leave and disappear. Some people leave, go quiet, and build something the world wasn't ready for. Dre never threw a punch back. He just rebuilt. And the scoreboard in 2001 said everything that needed to be said.